Hello and welcome to my first book tag. My name is Stacy and my channel is The Reads of an Apple. Today I'm here to do the Booktube Newbie Tag, and I've got my list of questions here and we'll just go ahead and go right through them. I was going to do a little intro stuff, but it kind of leads into the first question, so we'll just start there. Why did you start this channel? I have been a blogger off and on since college, and I didn't just stick to books. More recently, I restarted in late 2020. I started kind of coming up with the idea of blogging again and making it as a way for me to not only have a form to post my bingo boards and participation in readathons, but also a place that I can collate all of my reviews and thoughts on books instead of posting like a review here, a review there, and all these different sites kind of a thing. So 2021, I officially restarted my blog, focusing on just kind of book reviews and bookish things. And then as the year went on, I really enjoyed it, and I'm still planning on keeping up at least the review portion of my job. But I was toying with starting a Booktube channel. I'm fairly new to Booktube just as a watcher. I've been, a YouTube user for years and years, but for some reason I just never thought to look up book reviews on YouTube. I mainly just used it for like music and Asian TV shows and things like that. And I got into like video game reviews and things like that, and then board game reviews, and I just didn't think about it. And then Jessin Reads Romance, who's also one half of the Smart Women Read Romance podcast, mentioned on her podcast or on Patreon or something like that that she was starting a Booktube channel. And I was like, wait, that's a thing? And I went down the rabbit hole of Booktube, especially romance Booktube. I'm mostly a romance reader. I do read other things from time to time, but I mostly stick to romance. It's just, I'm here for the happy ever after. I love being able to pick up a book and know that no matter what our characters go through, it will have a happy ending. No matter what. And as you can hear, if this is the first video you're watching of me, I have a kitty. She is a talker. Her name is Cheese. She just turned 20 last November. Oh, come here. Come say hi. Here's her. We rescued her as a kitten from my mom's work. There was a stray. My mom used to be a cement truck driver, and there was a stray that used to hang out in the office, and she had 2 kittens, and my mom brought them home because she was like, a cement plant is no place for 2 little kittens. So as soon as the mom kind of left them on their own, my mom took them home. So we had Cheese, and then her brother was Mac. So we had Mac and Cheese. He passed away back when I was in college. But she is, even though she's 20, she is still my baby kitten, and I've had her since she's just been a tiny little ball of fuzz. But yeah, so we'll move on to question number 2. What are some fun and unique things that you can bring to Booktube? I mainly kind of decided to do Booktube because I feel like people are kind of getting away from at least reading blogs as often, unless you were established years ago. And I read a lot of the same books and things. Like, I'll pick up books that are popular on Booktube, but then every once in a while... What are you doing? Moving through. I have like authors that I really love that I wish more people would read or talk about. And I guess just my voice isn't big enough to get out there, so I wanted to support those authors that I really love that I don't see talked about very often. And I know there's lots of authors, and not everybody can be on like the big main channels, or at least the super popular people who have been doing it longer than I have. And I just wanted to get them out there so that if someone has similar tastes as me, they could find those authors and potentially love them as well. So that's a big reason why, because I wanted to tell, because I feel like a lot of the times because I wasn't on Booktube for so long and didn't really start watching it. Like, I started watching it in like 2020, but I didn't really start only watching pretty much that on YouTube till last year. So I kind of want to share some of the authors that I've loved, that not being a part of the Booktube community, I feel like I was able to pick up and kind of branch out and have, I don't know, breadth. Not that other people haven't picked them up, but I just want these authors talked about. And I'm okay with talking about them, I guess. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited, and I hope that I can help whoever's watching this find new authors as well. So, question number 3, we will move on. What are you most excited for about this new channel? Well, I think what I just said, helping bring, I don't know, more perspective on some books and a different perspective maybe in some cases. And just, I want to throw some of those authors out there that I don't see talked about very often, or a lot of the times when I'm looking for like a new to me author, I will check Goodreads if I have a couple different options, that if I see nobody that I'm friends with on Goodreads has read them, or only like one person and they're not a Booktube or a Bookstagram person that's read them, I definitely want, I'll lean more towards picking their book up just so I can add a review and add my thoughts out there and hopefully get this author more seen, whether I like the book or not. So because I tend to try to, I don't know, like, I'll pick up books other people read, especially if it's really well reviewed. But a lot of the times I more just like to hear people talk about books, but still just pick up whatever the heck I want. I'm very much a mood reader. I don't really set TBRs. That's one thing you'll never really see on my channel, are TBRs. I do for like readathons. I call them TBRs on my blog, but they're more, I refer to them more as idea posts, because I have so many ideas, so many options. And while there may be like 1 or 2 books that I definitely want to read, I don't push myself to read them unless it's maybe like a group book or a book that I also have for book club or something like that. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to expand my personal Booktube community, or just bookish friends community. I've expanded quite a bit on Instagram, and I don't like focus on my Bookstagram very much. I more just do like participation, oh my gosh, in like Step Back Saturday and daily tags and things like that, or readathons. But I've made quite a few friends via there that I really like talking books with, and I want to expand that. I want more book friends who read the same things I do and who want to talk about things like that. My sister's a romance reader too, but we don't really talk about books how I want to talk about books, I guess would be the way to say it. Not that she won't talk to me about books, but we just don't have those kinds of discussions. So I just want to make more friends that I can have those discussions with and go on reading journeys together with. So question number 4, why do you love reading? I am very much an escapist reader. I read to escape. It's mostly why I read romance, because there's always a happy ending, and I love just being transported. If I'm not reading romance, I'm either reading like full-on fantasy or urban fantasy. So I like the escapism. I like being able to live another life, experience different things, and just learn more about people and characters. And I'm very much a people watcher too. So I don't know, I enjoy it, and I love the stories told. I'm not a big nonfiction reader. I do have like a couple biographies that are from like people that I really love. Like I have a couple of the Frank Sinatra biographies and Barbara Eden, who was Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie, and like Lauren Graham from Gilmore Girls. But I usually just stick to books that I can fully immerse myself in and get lost in. Because sometimes we need that escape to be able to either handle or process what's going on in our real lives. And I love it. As simple as that. What book or series got you into reading? Well, I know I was reading before this, but one of the first books I remember reading is at my elementary school in kindergarten. They had like reading logs, and it was like mostly like picture books and stuff. Like I remember the super big picture books, and like for the whole class kind of a thing. Like Hungry Caterpillar and like the picture board books. But I was pretty like, I don't know, I was an advanced reader even in kindergarten. And I remember that for my reading log, we were allowed to kind of change it up. And my father helped me read 101 Dalmatians, the book, in kindergarten. That is like the first full-length novel I probably read. And we would read like a chapter a night kind of a thing. Instead of like a whole chapter or like a whole picture board book, we'd read a chapter of 101 Dalmatians. So even as like a 5-year-old, I was reading like adult books kind of a thing. Or at least young adult. I don't know what the novels classified as. I should see if my dad still has that in paperback. But yeah, I should probably look that up. But it's 101 Dalmatians. We all know the story, but it was the novel version. And I don't know if the movie is based off the novel. I should probably look into that. But that was like the first book that I remember reading. I know, like and then I got into like, I wasn't a big fan of Goosebumps, or I've never been a big fan of horror. Oh my gosh, what do you want? She's just freaking out over there. Because I'm talking and she thinks it's to her because it's just me here. But anyway, and I like remember reading like the Babysitter's Club in like 1st and 2nd grade and like the chapter books and stuff. And I feel like I kind of skipped the young adult, new adult genre. I remember reading like, I think it was All the Small Things. And I mean, I was late elementary school, 5th, 6th grade, early junior high / middle school, because I went to both because I transferred school districts in 7th grade. So this is probably too much information, but I went to, my elementary school was to 6th grade, and then junior high was 7, 8, and 9, but I moved to a different school district in the middle of 7th grade. So the district that I moved to was elementary school was through 5th grade, and then the middle school was 6, 7, 8, and then high school was 9 through 12. So I went to both junior high and middle school, which was super weird. But anyway, I know I was reading like adult novels at that time. I was super into like Robin Cook in middle school, which I don't know if that's something that 7th graders should be reading, but I was like very heavily into Robin Cook. He does like sci-fi medical thriller type things. And then at that point I was also reading romance that was my grandmother's. So a lot of the older historicals, or even like she had a bunch of like the Harlequin and Silhouettes. And I read a lot of the like Western romances from hers that I would, when I would go over and visit her, I would read those. But yeah, definitely 101 Dalmatians is the first like full length book that I read. And I was in kindergarten. So, number 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Well, first of all, can we be friends? Please be my friend. I feel like these people are my friends because I watch so much of their videos, and I feel like I know a lot of the booktubers that I really love. I feel like I know, like, they're very real, and not that others aren't, but I feel very connected with them, and I feel like I know who they are as people, and that they're very upfront about their thoughts and opinions and honesty and just who they are and what they enjoy in their books. So definitely my first question is, can we be friends? And then I think just talking about books. I would ask them thoughts and see if they have any recommendations based on books they know I enjoy that are favorites of theirs that they think I would like. But yeah, that would probably be my two big questions. And it sounds silly to say, will you be my friend? But I want more book friends. And I feel like in my brain, we're friends because I spend a lot of time with you. But you don't actually necessarily know that I'm a person. But anyway, we will move on. Number 7, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think for me, now that I'm older, it'll be easier for me to stay consistent. That was a big problem I had in college, just because of my college course load and working a job in college and all of that. I would like start a new blog series or a different kind of blog, and then I would kind of peter off and slow down and then just kind of disappear. And then I'd pop back up and start a new series or a new one. And because I had like a normal blog, and then I had a music rating blog where I would rate monthly K-pop releases, and I created like a spreadsheet, and depending on how many times I listened to that album or a song and how many times I watched like the music video, and anyway, I created this whole formula thing, and I really enjoyed it, but then it just took up too much time that I had because I was in school. And then I did like a quiz one, so I'm probably going to do at least a book tag a month, at least for the first few months here. I had a quiz blog where when I was in college, it was like super popular to be like, here's 20 random questions about random topic, I don't know, flowers. And it was like 20 questions based on flowers, and then you answered the questions. And they used to be like things you could post on like LiveJournal. I was a big LiveJournaler, and I created a blog to put those in. I love doing them. Once again, a little bit of time passed, and I didn't have as much time to do it, even though it seemed like it would be an easier kind of thing. And then I just kind of stopped posting on it, and then I moved on. So I definitely will enjoy those types of things. I've always enjoyed taking like quizzes and fun little things like that, and I feel like these are like talking quizzes, which are fun. So I definitely want to try to do at least a book tag a month. But as for challenges, so consistency, I feel like I'm better at. I definitely am glad that I waited to create a booktube channel until I had over a year of my blog under my belt of consistent posting. And while my reading might slow down from time to time, I average about 20 books a month, which is still a lot for a lot of people, but it's definitely not as much as a lot of booktubers read. And I have a lot of other interests that I also participate in, and so reading isn't my only priority, although it's pretty high up there. But especially when it gets close to the holidays, I'm a big crafter. I crochet. I've gotten into diamond painting, and I've done plastic canvas, a lot of different yarn crafts. So I like to craft as well. I'm also a big sports fan. Hockey's my go-to. Colorado Avalanche, represent. Go Avs, go. I'm also a fan of the Denver Broncos. I'm here in Colorado, so I'm a big fan of a lot of the Colorado teams. So I do spend time supporting my teams when need be. Yeah, I have a lot of hobbies. I'm sure there's more. But Oh, and I'm also a gamer. I used to play a lot more video games. I just haven't had time as much, or at least I haven't prioritized playing video games. But I used to play a lot of tabletop RPGs, so Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder was our go-to. But I've done 7 Seas, Star Wars Saga Edition. I started with D&D 3.5, then we moved into Pathfinder. I have played some of D&D 4th Ed. I haven't played 5th edition. Savage Worlds, I've played a couple sessions of. The World of Darkness stuff, which is like Vampire the Masquerade, and their whole setting, Prometheus and all their different ones. I'm also a big board gamer, so I have a lot of interest in a lot of things that I enjoy doing, and it's not just reading. If I only read, I could probably get through a lot more books, but I definitely like to dabble a little bit in a lot of different things, just so I don't get bored. But yeah, so I think, I don't know what all that had to do with challenges for Booktube, but there we go. You watched me just ramble on. That's the thing I do. I just start going off. And who knows how we got there. Hey, when did you start reading? When I was taught to read in school. Kindergarten. I feel like we might have started like teaching me how to read before then, just so I would have like the basics down once I got to kindergarten. But I know like kindergarten is where you really learn how to read. What kind of books do you like to read? Mostly romance. I enjoy fantasy. I kind of mentioned this before, but I never really read young adult fantasy. I kind of jumped from like chapter books to adult books. I feel like even as a young adult myself or a new adult, I was more mature. And so it was hard for me to connect to like I remember reading some young adult books and remember thinking, why are they acting like this? Nobody I know acts like this. This is like stereotypical how you see teenagers act in like movies kind of a thing. But nobody I know actually acts like this. So I never really enjoyed it. But yeah, I stick to mainly romance nowadays, with the odd webcomic thrown in. What does your book collection look like? Well, this is my main shelf that I have with me. The top 3 shelves are historical. At the very top are some hardback special editions and like trade and traditional published historical romances. And then I've also got some mass markets up top that I need to get worked in. My bottom 2 are paranormal, sci-fi, and fantasy. I have a little bookshelf over here that has all of my contemporary and then some of my nonfiction or just straight fantasy over here. My nonfiction that I have is mostly either Buffy the Vampire Slayer memorabilia books or those few biographies that I mentioned earlier. But I actually have a box of books from Christmas that I need to get in my shelves, so I'm probably actually going to move those non-romance books out into the living room. I have a lot more books. I also have on my far wall, I have all my cube storage for crafts, and I have a couple of those filled with craft books and craft magazines. I also have most of my collection, most of what I have here behind me are books that I've purchased since my mom passed away in 2015. Everything before that, from my apartment when I was in college and after college, and then what was at my mom's house, is in a storage unit in the town where she lived. So at some point, I need to get those out of the storage unit so I can get those updated into my new library app and see what I have. But yeah, so I have a lot of books. Right now, I think it's over 750 of what's behind me. And that's it. That's the last question. What does your book collection look like? That's where it's at right now. I'm going to do some reorganizing after I do a book haul video, which I'll probably film here in the next day or so. But I hope you enjoyed and listening to me answer all these questions. I had a lot of fun. I definitely want to do more book tags. I'm going to mainly focus on doing vlogs. So far, they've been about 2 hours for a weekly vlog, but it's not, I wanted to call them reading vlogs, and while I mostly talk about reading stuff, that's not all I talk about in them. I have a quest calendar, which is based off of like tabletop gaming. That's a daily calendar that I'm also doing little clips for a daily clip. Some days are longer than others for those. And then just any like bookish mail I might get in between. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this. Let me know if you have any other questions, or there's any other book tags or even just normal tags that you want to see me answer, and pop those down below. And I will get to them when I can. And feel free to, I guess I should say, like and subscribe if you liked what you saw. And definitely reach out if you want to talk about romance books with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day, morning, evening, whatever time it is when you're watching this. And I will see you all soon. Bye.